I guess my obsession with the black female body is the kind of obsession with myself navigating the world in a very sort of processed form, so that I don't do biographical or self-portrait kind of work, but I'm questioning and asking and sort of resolving the issue of our invisibility by making the work. I think one of the weirdest things about growing up in Nairobi in the 70s and 80s is that we were watching the same TV shows and a lot of the same films that kids in the West are watching. A lot of it came later. We always had to wait, or see maybe the quality of the film was different. But we were watching a lot. Middle-class kids were experiencing a lot of the same things as kids in the West, and the thing that it took a while to understand is a lot of these films had nothing to do with us. There's there's virtually no representation of us young African urban kids in any of these films. A lot of them were predominantly white actors. A lot of them, if they were people of color or African or black, were very different from our experience in our lives. So I think as an artist, you start to investigate these very lovely minutiae of culture and go, well, why is this, and where am I in this story that I've been obsessed with for like 15 years? I've been watching this show or whatever. And so for me, is this question of being fascinated with the black female body, it's less about that and more about the fact that I just have committed my life to talking about myself and women who look like me and women who have to maneuver the world in a body, a skin color, an accent, a hair texture like myself, because their story is not told to the masses as much as maybe others in a contemporary setting. And then, and if it is, it usually doesn't feel like us. I look towards my mom and my grandmother, not in that kind of sort of romantic way that women maybe are seen to, but I look at them because I almost can't fathom how they did it. My grandmother is a little woman, and partly because probably the diet wasn't that great, but she's this little woman who raised 10 kids, and about 7 of them were born during the war in Kenya, during the time when the British were there, being extremely oppressive. And I have 2 kids, and I think, how in heaven's name did these women get up in the morning again and do it all over again and raise these kids? And my mom similarly raised 4 kids, and with full job, and so I look at them and think these are really regular women. I mean, they're not trying to be anything but good moms and and good wives and good Christians, and they're still pretty remarkable in their humility and their hard work. So yeah, I do look at them because I think, wow, I kind of would have probably, shave my hair off and run out in the woods or something, but you don't. You survive those things, and obviously genetically I have that in me, but now with options. I used to use a lot of sort of classic painting for poses, and I thought that was the way to go, kind of academic drawing. And I love people like Lucian Freud and Bacon, even though you can't hardly see, and a lot of the Renaissance painters. But then I realized that I kind of wanted to engage more with things that I thought were regular and sort of not special in a way, in that strange way. And I think without realizing, I ended up using the newsstand as my biggest, the newsstand being the magazine store, as a way to kind of deal with contemporary everyday life, especially here in the United States, because it's such a common thing to encounter these big, walls of magazines in a store, and they have all of these different categories. There's like the automobile section, there's the fashion section, the family section, the porn section, and I've kind of like swept through the entire variety of all those little categories, looking for things that pique my attention, but also looking for myself, my people, my idea of where it is I came from. And in the process of doing that, I've encountered all these incredibly strange things. So my work literally involves so much cutting and opening up and separation of body parts and images of body parts, that it is very literally a type of surgery. Some of it is actually, and I'm a little nervous to say this, but it's a destructive process. It's a way of destroying a certain set of hierarchies that I don't believe in. And the process for me of combining the man-made and this magazine printed version of the world with something that is crafted is important, because it's my translation of that real image. It's my way of putting a mark on it. And it's also not always clear which one thing has ended where and one begins where. So where does fiction or fantasy coming from my head blend with reality? When I've done these kind of grafted, sort of plastic surgery type works where I composite realities together, I see something that pleases my mind enough to make me think about a variety of other things. I see something that allows my eye to move around and in doing that, emerge with more ideas. So I see it's like a frame. I see a frame in a world that I'm sort of the god in, that I create. I'm the strange maker of. But it's a frame that has potential, because there's a dynamic quality to the work. I think there's always things that feel like, even though they've been captured in one moment, there's like movement. But I know that I think mostly of my younger self and how I would love to have encountered things. I walk into a space and see something that looks like my work, and maybe see a woman, of my age walking around and think, oh wow, she's allowed to do that. Like, that's so cool. So those things make me even more happy and dedicated in doing what I'm doing. I'm not a documentary illustrator, or I'm not, I'm not a photojournalist. I'm not sort of taking images of live, real world experiences and serving them to the world. For me, every little bit of culture can be used to investigate almost any other bit of culture. So I'm sort of stirring up the image of the Black woman, and I don't often find a lot of mainstream pictures of Black women. So ironically, even though my work is obsessed with my sisters, my cousins, my women I was raised with, African women, I find the ingredients of all of this work is coming from places that pay no attention to those women. So it's kind of an ironic thing in a way. I'm producing that image out of that very lack of it,